Thank you. When I think of the area of cognitive psychology, I think of it as being somewhat distinct from the area of studying brain science and neurophysiology. Both are important, but we do have to make this distinction between the human mind versus the human brain. The brain is very tangible. It's something you could touch. It's the gray matter and white matter, and I know some of my colleagues here study that and professionals in that area. When I think of people who study neurophysiology and brain structures, I think that they're studying the hardware of the system. If you'll get my analogy here of a computer, we all know there's computer software, there's computer hardware. Well, some scientists study the hardware. They study the circuitry of the brain. I'm not one of those people. I'm a cognitive psychologist, and I study the software of the human mind. I like to study the type of processes that people engage in that they use to help remember, and also the causes of forgetting. I work with adult research populations, especially adult college students, who are trying to learn technical information. They may be reading narrative text, they may be reading expository text. Most people in this room probably at one time in their life have had some kind of frustration where you have to read something, maybe for a class or maybe for work, and you have to remember it. And you've read it, and you know you've read it. And then later on when you're trying to retrieve the information, it's just not there. And with these adult college students that I work with every day, it seems that they suffer from that frustration a lot. They tell me they read, they tell me they've studied, but then when it comes to exam time or to use the knowledge, to work with it creatively, they're at a loss. Over the last 40 years in cognitive psychology, myself and many of my colleagues around the country and around the world, the type of mental representations we form when we read. So when you're reading a manual, are you able to work with the information in that manual and then put together the shell for the toy that you're trying to put together with? In other words, can you form a mental model of that text information and then make use of it and also be able to remember the information in the future? There's been a lot of progress in this area, but it's also kind of a continuing area in cognitive psychology, and it's my favorite area. Lately, I've been moving more into the area where cognitive psychology interacts with neurophysiology. As she mentioned, at Tulane University, I got to work in the neuroscience lab, so I've done the EEG capping and measuring of brain waves with regard to studying issues related to how people age and how it affects their auditory attention.